dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again.
Oh,
They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. You can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court. And it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular. When in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it. We still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing.
yeah, we all know how that went. You ain't winning this one, bruh.
They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court.
I smell 2020 all over again.
I wanted to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow.
Lie.
And simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year.
Lie.
They said you'll never be able, you go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics, they said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years, we did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had, the Peace Board, he said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things. But they've given us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country, to poison our youth, all of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're still getting them. And we will after the decision. There's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those three people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives.
Yeah, I bet.
Great alternatives.
They'll be
Could
taken
more
away
money,
too.
Take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo.
Hey, Barb.
Anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives.
It doesn't matter because I can't put all that money that I'm charging other countries into my own pocket. Oh boy.
That have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us.
Where are all these MAGAs at? Usually all these MAGAs are in my chat. Where are they at?
But not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license. It's a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee.
You can't threaten nobody.
But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries. But a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. It's a dead country.
You're a damn thief.
You're an incompetent president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction. Probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice.
I'll tell you why in a minute.
Stock has gone so up. You'd have to see. I'm so proud of him. Wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So, think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't, he's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs. issued in this case, even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301, and the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear. But it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible.
All that
And
going to be debunked.
That the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way. They like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years. To the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's used to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades. But now we know because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward, we will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt, because there was always doubt. I know the people that brought the lawsuit, and they're sleazebags, major sleazebags, but I know them, and they're foreign country centric. They were sending things into our country, and the people representing them knew full well, but they were sending things into our country, and they were beneficial to other countries, but very, very bad for us. And I stopped it, and we'll just keep it going. So we have a totally firm decision now, and I don't think the court meant it because the court doesn't show great spirit toward our country, in my opinion. A lot of bad decisions, but
So, what this ultimately means is the Supreme Court, pretty much Tatashi Jackson, or whatever her name is, and I think there's like 2 or maybe 3 more that are on that particular side, the left side. They pretty much said, "Halt, what you're doing is illegal." But of course, he's going to try to find loopholes to get more money because he owes too much money to these particular important, quote unquote, important people. But they're going to debunk that pretty soon, and apparently he's not going to get away. He's not going to get away with it because he's going to get sued again. Trust me on this. It's not going to look good for him. And plus the Epstein files that incriminate him also, it's not going to look good for him. And people can say all they want about him. They can say that he's a wonderful man and blah, blah, blah. No, all that is up. All that is, there's too much incriminating him. Not only the files, but the pictures, the photos, the videos, everything is going to incriminate this man. Trust and believe. And the seats that are turning blue, that is going to really whoop his ass. Trust and believe. I mean, doubt all you want. All I'm saying is there is a particular reason why Texas is so important. How Texas and those Senate seats have already flipped. Yikes. How much money does he? I mean, they proclaim he's a billionaire. I don't count nobody's pockets, but he proclaims to be this particular billionaire. How much of that money is going to be revoked in these next couple of months because of unsophisticated I would call it unsophisticated decision making? Because you remember, Trump is not above all. Why am I getting phone calls? Trump is not above everyone. The Supreme Court makes the ruling. The House may make the decisions, but the Senate has to approve everything. So therefore, and on top of that, he's already in trouble with the law. He's already in trouble, but the only thing that nobody can do anything about it because he has the immunity, thanks to the Supreme Court. So, all the jokes aside, he's duped. He is duped. He may try to invoke that law that he just mentioned. He might try to invoke it. But how much y'all want to bet me that none of all that's going to be debunked? How much y'all want to bet me? How much y'all want to bet me?
We have a breaking news alert for you.
Yeah, let's see. Well, hold on. Oh, that's live. Is that what this is? That pretty much the same thing? Pretty much. So Fox News, I'm not doubting. Fox News is pretty much, as like, he's not being treated fairly. Whatever. He's pretty not treated fairly. They're taking away all of our money. They're taking away all of our money, making America. We're gonna make America great again because they're taking away all of our money. No, they're taking away the money that you are trying to receive. And so, with that being said, all that money that's being brought back, my only question is, can you please turn down the beeps on your phone? Sure. I didn't know that was bothering you so much. Sorry. My question is, what's going to happen to all that money? I think it was somewhere in the millions. How much of that? What are they going to do with all that money? That's my only question mark. What are they going to do with all that money that they took away from Trump? What are they going to do? I don't know. I mean, I'm in the dark with this one. Maybe you can help me out. And if he if he tries this again, it's going to be debunked again. So my question is, what are they going to do with all that money? That's a hard one. I'm talking about the money that was taken away from the tariffs. He's got to pay that money back. I don't know how much money that is, but the tariffs that have been shut down by the Supreme Court, he's got to pay that money back. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen to all that money. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So far, I mean, that's all the.
The guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Hold on.
American people anything about all these wars for decades. And
I almost forgot. He's going to get even more trouble with all the war. I almost forgot. Jeffrey Seuss humiliates Trump and some other freaking, I don't know. I need to get on my Trump stuff. I'm going to have to shove Kamala Harris to the side a little bit. This is breaking news. Did he think he was going to pay it? No! It all goes back to the stuff that he's pretending to so-called pay the military, which he hadn't paid the military shit. And then the $2,000 bonus that we're going to get, I forgot what they were, but he went up to $2,000. Then it was $5,000. I was like, so you're going to pay people, the American people, us, the American people, $2,000 out of the tariffs? And you're going to pay $5,000 and then you went over to Greenland and said that you were going to pay $100,000 just for them to come over to the United States. How and with what money? What are you going to pay off? He's going to pay off with tariffs. I've heard this over DJ Genesis the other day with some doofus saying he's paying it off with the tariffs. No, he ain't. Quit with the delusional land. Quit with all this ye say, she say from this guy. He's already in trouble. But he's going to get even more trouble if he keeps clowning around with this Supreme Court. Those are only, well, let me not get into that because you're going to get people in the comment. The stimulus packages. They're going to talk about all that shit. I'm going to give you $2,000, $5,000. How? We're going to pay off America's debt. How? We're a $60 trillion. We're a $60 trillion plus dollar debt. Well, it doesn't surprise me because every country's in debt. But needless to say, I live in America. So that being said, I only worry about what we owe. And the fact that he makes all these specific and all these delusional Trump supporters delusional as hell. Just cool. It's like, I'm gonna do everything Trump says because he's a wonderful man. If I could slap you with reality, it wouldn't hit you because you're too far out there. You're like brainwashed. Oh, I'm not left or right. I in the middle because I see the bullshit 60 feet in front of me, and I go, nope. I saw it when Joe Biden was in office. I said, nope. And my folks got mad at me. I seen it with this. I said, Harris or Trump. Trump is an automatic no. Harris is like, I don't like her policies. Yes, whatever. So I'm just going to go vote local. And needless to say, she had already won. Harris had already won. But somehow, in some way, it ended up in Trump's favor. And we all know why. He fucking cheated. He cheated. He complains about cheating. He's been complaining cheating ever since Joe Biden's been whooping his ass. And he tried to sue, and 68 different local judges said, nah, Joe never cheated. So if you're going to different districts in different states and you're trying to white supremacists explain away how you got cheated out of an election, and 63 local district judges said, no, he didn't cheat. I'm happy to say $2,000 won't do shit for me. No, but it will do shit for the average American, though. The average American that are struggling to pay bills, it would definitely do some good. But I'm saying, how is he going to pay for that? How is he going to pay for it? That's just me. It's just, how is he going to pay for it?
By the way, I can tell you, and I'm telling you authoritatively and truly, they lie about every goddamn thing about these wars. And so that's not democracy either. Everything is phony. Everything is narrative. And so on the war and peace issues, the public has no say at all. If you were to ask the American people now, and in fact, Gallup does, do you support Biden's foreign policy? I think the support is, you can look it up, 25 to 35% perhaps. I don't even think it reaches 35%. Where's the democracy in this? It's a game. This is the deep state, and they have their wars, and every war has been phony. Some wars the American people are basically never told about. For example, the war in Syria. And you may actually hear from grown-up reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, oh, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government, starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the US invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzky, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually. You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you. Because he's gotten us into endless wars. And because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics.
I have a question for you. The wars that are happening to this very day, and under which presidency, who's responsible for this? I'll wait.
He's gotten his way. But that war was totally phony. So what is this democracy versus dictatorship? Come on. These are not even sensible terms. And even if they were sensible terms, under the UN Charter, we can have our democracy. You do what you want. It happens to be the case that China has had a centralized administrative state for 2,245 years, ever since Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi unified the Qin dynasty. There have been a few periods of disintegration of the dynasties, but if you look through the Qin, the Han, the Tang, the Song, the Ming, the Qing, till today, till the PRC, this is the same structure, by the way. This is an administrative state ruling over almost the same region, by the way, for more than 2,000 years. So, and by the way, it has been wondrously effective for a long time at keeping the internal peace. China's only wars were nomadic invasions from the steppelands in the north. And then one crazed, then the Mongols invading, that's part of that, and one absolutely crazed shogun in the 1590s trying to take over China, and he made it as far as Korea and was killed. Other than that, this has been actually exceptional statecraft until Britain had the genius idea of fighting a war to sell opium in China in 1839, one of the most noble efforts imaginable. And that started the modern era of China. So I don't buy it at all. But even if it were true, it's illegal under international law, unwise, and look at the great accomplishment of pouring in, I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars into Afghanistan for 20 years to get from the Taliban regime to the Taliban regime. This is American genius at democracy promotion. They don't care at all about democracy, by the way, at all. They topple governments they don't like that won't do their bidding. They topple democracies if they don't like them. They'll topple anybody that they don't like. All along, they never said, "Oh, we can't topple Mossadegh in 1953. He's a democratic government." No, they toppled the democratic government in Iran and put in a police state, which led to wonderful long-term relations with Iran because they really love the American people for that.
Ain't Iran our ally?
This is not about democracy. This is a game. And it's a terrible game. And it's a secret game. And it's played by the CIA, which is the most important agency.
If you have brains and you have ears, listen up. This is one of the reasons why you're losing your money and the reason why y'all complaining so much. Now you can follow the money. Like Jasmine stated yesterday, money. This is where your money is going to.
In the United States, because they have complete secrecy, complete unaccountability. There was one review of the CIA 49 years ago, the Church Committee, and nothing since then. And as one of our CIA directors, they're all, I was going to say one of the worst, but they're all the same by the time they get there, or by the time they leave there, because the agency takes them over. Pompeo said, as he was proudly explaining the role of the CIA to some Texas students a few years ago, and you can find it online, he said, what do we teach at the CIA? To lie, cheat, and steal.
Uh-oh.
And that's a pretty good encapsulation of the methodology. And that is a very dangerous world being created that way. So China is not going to turn the U.S. into a dictatorship. Maybe the U.S. will turn into a dictatorship.
Already
Maybe
there.
It'll just turn into a plain old plutocracy. Maybe it will turn into a military-industrial state as the complete dominance. I don't know. But it's not going to come from China. It's going to come from inside. That's where our risk is.
Uh-oh.
AIPAC, of course, is the Israel lobby. It's been extremely influential for decades. It's a significant campaign funder, but it's also one of the paradoxes of American power, which is that a few $100 million buys tens of billions of dollars of U.S. response. Basically, our Congress sells itself for very cheap. If you have, a few $100 million, you too can buy American foreign policy. So this is the ironic part of this. What to do? My view is that this will change actually, but I want it to change fast because the danger is very high, and literally every day Netanyahu is trying to provoke a war with Iran right now, which could quickly escalate into something absolutely awful. I think two things can change this. One is American public opinion, which I say doesn't count for very much in these issues, but is absolutely against what Israel's doing. And this has been a shocking period. And it's so vulgar, it's so out there, the bombing is so relentless. The viciousness of it is so terrible that it has shocked the American people, especially young people. But actually, the few times I've said that on air, lots of older people have written to me indignantly saying, I'm against Israel too, what it's doing. So it's actually a pretty widespread view. The second thing is that world opinion is shocked. And not only world opinion, political opinion worldwide. So I hang out at the UN. Israel has no backing at the UN for what it's doing. What it has is the US veto and Europe, as usual, hiding behind the US or abstaining in votes. Even the European Union's divided because it's so awful what's going on that Ireland and...
Here's what I would say to the whole Israel thing. America can do what it wants, but don't be shocked if you're going to be owing something in return. Because as I said a long time ago, Trump can give you some shit that came out of his backside, give it to you and turn it in you. And he said, this is gold, hand it to you, and you be dumb enough to get it, dumb enough to grab it and take it to the bank and try to cash it in. People are going to look at you as like, are you freaking serious? But let's just, all jokes aside, let's just say he does give you something. What does he want in return? Same thing with Israel. What do Israel want in return? Doesn't matter if some of these people getting Apex money from them or not. The fact of the matter is, it's like China almost. China doesn't want any money. They can give you all the money that they can give you all the money that you desire. What do they want in return? Do they want gold? Do they want a piece of? Do they want to a piece of land for their value? What do they want? These are why all these wars start in the first place. And to this, you got to figure. It's like I said, you have to figure out for yourself, where is the money going? Always follow the money trail. This is the reason why there are homeless people everywhere. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their homes. Where is the money going? We could have used some of that money to at least build a big enough facility for these homeless people to go into. How about our young kids, our young youthful kids, all the money that mainly goes into these youth centers, these community centers, who can teach these kids, specifically black kids, I'm sorry to say, but most of the black kids are being excluded. You could teach these kids for free to do a specific trade, mainly your STEM programs. Where's that money going? Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm a genius.
And Spain and Norway and others are recognizing the state of Palestine, despite the U.S. saying don't do that. But on resolution after resolution, there's an overwhelming majority against Israel's actions. There was this July an International Court of Justice ruling on the illegality of Israel's occupation. I think there's likely to be an ICJ ruling in the coming months that will find, I believe, Israel to be in violation of the 1948 Genocide Convention.
Uh-oh.
That also will be a shocking moment, and I think it's likely, although you can only imagine the lobbying pressure that is being put on right now. So these are two forces that are at play. My idea specifically is I'm urging, actually quite actively, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League to put forward a specific plan now. Now, I believe, based on international law, that the only way forward that can possibly become established is a state of Palestine agreed on international law alongside a state of Israel. And that the two-state solution, which goes back to the 1947 partition plan, is enmeshed in countless UN Security Council and General Assembly resolutions and the ICJ ruling, which talks about the border of the 4th of June, 1967, before the Six-Day War. So what I am urging and hoping for is that the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is 57 Islamic nations, Islamic majority nations, and the Arab League specifically, put forward a plan for a two-state solution, peace, UN Security Council, oversight of armed forces to keep the two sides apart. I think more than normal peacekeepers, but really stationing troops basically to keep the two sides apart. And Iran saying, yes, we stop our aid to Hezbollah and to Hamas in the context of a state of Palestine being achieved. And the US says we drop the sanctions against Iran at the same moment. So we put all the pieces together and say, voila, this is something that is of mutual benefit for everybody. The only one that opposes this, in my view, is the extremists in Israel, represented by Netanyahu, Smotrich, Ben-Gvir, and the other extremists in this utterly obnoxious and genocidal government that is in power in Israel right now. And it's just one vote away, in my estimation, which is the US veto. And I believe that if the security state in the United States looks honestly and dispassionately at this, if the American people understand how many wars Netanyahu has led the American people into and what a disaster this has been, that actually it's possible to change. It's not a sure deal by any means.
I don't know what all this other shit you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. But again, follow the money trail. I mean, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, but yet Trump's involvement was starting wars that were unnecessary. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was charged for that, which he's going to be charged for that once his immunity is taken away. But do with this information and other information coming up as you will, because I'm surprised MAGA is always going to say something. It's always going to say something wild and crazy, but yet I didn't see them in the chat today. I only saw one. I'm shocked at that. I am very shocked. I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised, but they have a lot to answer for because can't go against these Supreme Courts. I'm telling you, they are literally not playing with this at all.
I'm joined now by the co-host for Pod Save America, Tommy Vitor. Tommy, thanks for joining.
Right, good to see you.
Tommy, we have big news today as it relates to the Epstein files. There seems to finally be some consequences. I think we have a clip right here.
Andrew Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the UK, has reportedly been arrested. Officers reportedly arrived at a
breaking
earlier
news
this morning to make the arrest of the former prince, who turns 66 years old today.
So we're not seeing consequences for those in America, but in the international community, definitely seeing some consequences.
Yeah.
So can you speak about the situation unfolding with Prince Andrew in the UK?
Yeah, so Prince Andrew was arrested on Thursday. He's no longer Prince Andrew. He's been stripped of his titles because of his conduct with Jeffrey Epstein. He's now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's quite a name.
Yeah.
He was moved out of his massive castle into a slightly less massive
Two-bedroom.
Well, I think it's like a 5-bedroom. But yes, he's a total creep. He was accused by Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's victims, of sexual assaulting her several times. However, the allegations in this case are not about possible sexual improprieties. They're about suspicion of misconduct in public office, specifically that he shared confidential government information with Epstein when he was a special trade representative. So it's a massive deal. It's a seismic event in British history, and I think pretty much far and away the most high-profile individual to have face consequences because of their association with Jeffrey Epstein. The second highest profile being a guy named Peter Mandelson, who was the former UK ambassador to the US. So again, another example of folks overseas, having to face consequences for what they did, and while Donald Trump sitting in the White House.
Do you think that this?
No, I'm not gonna go play this full clip. If you want to watch the clip, go to Brian Tyler Colham in the Pod Save America podcast, and go watch that. But needless to say, I wish things would have went a little bit faster, but now people are starting to get have a little bit of progress, is what I'm trying to say. People are starting to get indicted. People are starting to get arrested. That's what I would like to see. I wish this was a little bit faster once those files were first. No, I take all that back. The files should have been the first ones that should have been out a long fucking time ago. Not just under this administration, but under the Biden administration too. I'm like, what the fuck? We're talking about lives here, but no one cares about lives. Nobody cares about children anymore. No one cares. I don't think you care about your own children. I mean, it's harsh, but it's reality. If you so-called cared about your children, you would have went hell and high water for the Biden administration to come out with these files. Now all of a sudden, it's again with the Obama thing. If you don't hold Obama accountable, what makes you think that Trump? Oh, thank you so much. What makes you think that Trump was going to listen to any and everything the American people had to bitch about? Now that everything is all coming full circle. And the list of names are coming out. And Trump's name is on the list, by the way, whether he was involved in this, whether he's involved in that. Trump's time is coming. Like it, love it, hate it, reject it. It is what it is. I'll see you later in the day. Saturday, I'll be doing a live stream. This is going to be a little different, but Barb, you're going to like this one. And of course, we're going to be reviewing back and forth all day about this one. I'm going to let you guess what subject I'm going to be doing. Quiet as cat. I mean, it has something to do with like FBA and Adolfs and Pan-Africanism, but there's a specific name that you're not going to like. So be prepared for that. Till that time,